All right, I am back to read you a second article from the Scholastic Art magazine with Annie Leibovitz. So the second one here is going to be body language, and I've scanned these copies for you to be able to read it on your own, or you can listen to my recording and follow along, however it works for you. So here we go. Body language. There is definitely an attempt to be as straightforward as possible, but there are instances where we get the picture I want, to get the picture I want, I have to help it. Annie Leibovitz. Annie Leibovitz may be one of contemporary photography's superstars, but her life began in a very conventional way. One of 6 children, the photographer was born in 1949 in the suburban town of Westbury, Connecticut. Her father was in the military, so the family moved often. During high school, Leibovitz played guitar, wrote music, and headed the school folk singing club. She also developed an interest in art, continuing her studies at the San Francisco Art Institute in order to become a painting teacher. During a school vacation, Leibovitz visited her family, then living in the Philippines. She and her mother traveled to Japan, where Leibovitz bought a camera and began taking pictures. Back at school, she took her first photography class. I was totally seduced, she later said, to see something and have it materialize before your eyes that same day. From then on, I lived in the darkroom. This was before there was digital photography. While a student, she spent a year working on a farm in Israel, taking photos the entire time. Back in California, a friend suggested she take her portfolio to Rolling Stone. This was a new magazine about rock music and the counterculture that had begun to emerge at the end of the 1960s. The art director was so impressed that he began giving her work while she was still in school. She received her Bachelor of Arts in 1971. Leibovitz recalled, I can never forget the sensation of being at a newsstand and seeing for the first time my photograph transformed into the Rolling Stone cover. She stayed with the magazine for 13 years, traveling around the world, photographing music stars. In the early 1980s, Leibovitz became chief photographer for Vanity Fair, a large general interest magazine. This gave her the chance to expand her subjects to include writers, actors, athletes, and visual artists such as Christo. Christo is known for his huge installations he makes by wrapping cliffs, buildings, and islands, and most recently for constructing a series of gates running through New York City's Central Park. In her photo above, so we're talking about this photo here, okay, Leibovitz has turned things around and wrapped the artist himself. Her composition is nearly symmetrical, which means it's the same on both sides. Within the square format of the photo, the central horizon line, the horizon is where the ground meets the sky, it's that line, and the vertical figure intersect to form a kind of cross shape. This serves to further emphasize the work's focal point. In this portrait, a wrapped Christo temporarily disrupts the natural setting in the same way his enormous installation pieces do. The shocking sight of his white, bandaged figure standing out against Central Park's green grass and blue sky echoes the sometime controversial nature of Christo's art. In some of Leibovitz's compositions, the setting is just as important as the figure. Folk singer Pete Seeger, opposite page at the top, this one here, okay, has always been famous for his protest songs. Seen at eye level, Seeger shares the horizontal format of this asymmetrical composition. Okay, so here the format, like she is saying, is it's horizontal, so it's going the long way rather than up and down. And it's asymmetrical. We talked about that in the last article a bit. So here the figure's on this side, but there's nothing over here to create this same kind of weight and emphasis of size. Okay, so it's asymmetrical. Seen at eye level, Seeger shares a horizontal format of his asymmetrical composition with the Hudson River, whose ecology he helped restore. The patterns and waves in the background are in the same sharp focus as the figure in the photograph's foreground. The soft light of the river mist blacklights the singer's head, creating an almost halo-like effect. The suspended figure of rock musician Bruce Springsteen in concert would be dramatic on its own. So we're switching photographs here. I didn't make that transition very well. Okay, so here we've got, it's the centerfold. Okay. So that suspended figure of rock musician Bruce Springsteen in concert would be dramatic on its own. But the vivid horizontals of the almost abstract pattern behind him add another dimension to the picture. The viewer's realization that the red stripes are actually a tightly cropped American flag offers a commentary on the singer's often politically charged lyrics. Leibovitz's portrait of tennis stars Serena and Venus Williams, so okay, the tennis sisters, is all about body language. Taken from a slightly low angle and cropped so the figures fill the frame, this composition visually expresses the way in which these two young women have dominated their sport. The soft lighting and natural background suggest a single unit standing against the world. Negative space surrounds, but also comes between them. Their poses reflect their dual roles. Sisters, but competitors, joined but separate. Their defiant expressions and the intersecting diagonals formed by their arms and bodies express the dynamism and tension of their complex relationship. Okay, so there's a lot going on. They're talking about that negative space. So just thinking in terms of space, positive, negative, you've got the bodies make up the positive space, but you've got this other space here. She, strategically left this negative space coming through the middle, but then they're still connected, like it says. They have a very interesting relationship. Okay, so continue on to the questions in the Google assignment. Many of you got the hint that part of your grade was about English, writing well. Okay, so do the spell check. Read your answer out loud to yourself. If it doesn't make sense when you read it, it's not going to make sense to me to read it. So double check that stuff. Next time, I won't let you resubmit for more points. All right, thanks.